Early in City Council's new term, we will vote on whether to go forward with or to cancel the city's streetcar project. Candidly, as one who will vote, I face two bad choices. We can pursue a project that has never earned broad public consensus and that is yet to offer a viable, sustainable budget, or we can scrub the project and throw away tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer money, forego a massive federal investment, and have nothing to show for the enormous effort and expense. These are two bad choices. This is the example of the exact kind of public policy situation that as a city we must work to avoid. More than 37,000 people across the political spectrum and on all sides of the streetcar debate voted to return me to City Hall, not to complain and not to throw bombs, but to find reasonable solutions, to offer thoughtful proposals, to make the most careful decisions regarding taxpayers' hard-earned dollars, and to be forward-looking about the best interests of the city and its future. It would be easy and true to say others got us into this mess and to sit on the sidelines lobbing criticism. But that's not constructive, that's not productive, and that's definitely not leadership. My responsibility, the responsibility of anyone who hopes to lead wisely and who is serious about governing, is to integrate the ideal with the real. My obligation is to make the most responsible decision given the situation as it is. No matter how I vote, I will inevitably disappoint a lot of people. I understand that and I accept it, knowing that real trust isn't something that comes by pleasing people in the moment, but rather is something earned over time. Let me walk you through my decision and my proposal, starting with context for my past votes on the streetcar. Because of my concerns over the financing arrangement, the questionable management to date, and my doubts about the limited scope of the project, I have voted no on the streetcar every time it has come before me. When there was a vote to give the project $15 million that had previously been committed to the neighborhoods, I voted no. When there was a vote to give the project an additional $18 million due to cost overruns, I voted no. In both instances, I did my homework, I arrived at what I believed was the most thoughtful decision, and I stand by those votes. In this circumstance, I have again reviewed every detail, sitting down with the city's streetcar project managers, seeking counsel of business and legal leaders who are both opponents and supporters of the project, getting perspective from authorities both locally and nationally, having conversations with construction companies and vendors involved in the project, and talking broadly with neighborhood leaders and committed citizens across our city. In talking with such a wide variety of fellow citizens, one thing I've come to appreciate, if you're truly willing to listen, is that streetcar supporters aren't reckless people who want to bankrupt the city, nor are streetcar opponents obstructionists who seek to hold the city back. Everyone cares genuinely about the future of our city. And indeed, there is overwhelming agreement that as a region, we need to focus on public transportation as a means for growth. People simply have different priorities for advancing what they believe is the best path forward. So let us now set down the hot sword of rhetoric and politics and speak instead with facts. Here are some of the most pertinent facts. More than $32 million has already been spent and is irretrievably gone for work ranging from design to construction to real estate acquisition. If the new council cancels the project immediately, we would also incur substantial additional expenses. The exact amount of the closeout costs can be disputed, but we know that minimally it would be tens of millions of dollars. So no matter what, no matter whose numbers or whose analysis you believe, canceling the project would mean that well more than 50% of the local budget for the project would be spent and gone with nothing to show for it. Hopefully, citizens know from my years on council that I'm a careful steward of their dollars, which is exactly why wasting that much money with nothing to show for it feels irresponsible. I did my part to avoid getting us into this reality, but it cannot be wished away. Regarding federal funding for the project, which totals $44.9 million, this should not be counted as lost money in the same way, because it didn't start in the city's operating or capital budget, and because it cannot be used for other purposes. But let's not deceive ourselves. Those dollars are not going to be returned to the Treasury to pay down our national deficit. Those dollars will go to another urban setting, that will be all too happy to have them invested in the future of their city's economy. Among my biggest concerns with canceling the project is the impact to our city's reputation with the federal government and specifically with the Federal Transportation Administration. Regardless of whether you support the streetcar or not, and I clearly have long-standing misgivings, we are going to need significant federal participation for vital projects like the Brent Spence Bridge, or the Army Corps of Engineers assisting further with Smale Riverfront Park, or the FTA grants to improve our bus system. If career government administrators believe that Cincinnati is a city that wastes their time and wastes their federal dollars, it could jeopardize our ability to get federal funding for future projects. And what about the loss of jobs? The streetcar has created 200 construction jobs for our community and will add 30 permanent jobs. It has already spurred private sector development, adding restaurant and retail and housing, which is contributing to our tax base. If indeed our actions in any way slowed progress on the Brent Spence Bridge, we would then be putting at risk thousands of jobs for our community. That's a whole lot of our fellow citizens who are trying to support their families by working on essential infrastructure improvements. So let me be clear. We are where we are. Drive along Elm Street or Main Street today, and you will see a project for which streets have been dug up, major dollars have already been spent, and Cincinnatians are hard at work on the job. And given where things are, it feels neither prudent nor fiscally responsible to scrap the whole thing. For all these reasons, I feel we should finish this phase of the project, but do so in the most financially responsible way. So let me also be clear about this. I am not going to supply a blank check for the project. I haven't done that in the past, and I'm absolutely not going to do it now. Our fiscal focus should be on the capital side, but frankly, it should be even more on the operating side. As the Cincinnati Business Courier recently wrote, one issue with Cincinnati's streetcar project that even supporters concede is troublesome is how the operating costs of the project will be covered. I agree with that. What doesn't make sense is that some of the streetcar's fiercest opponents are already advocating for a trolley system that has nearly identical operating budget as the streetcar. Why would we replace one major operating deficit with an equally burdensome one? I believe there is a better path. That option is to move the annual operating expenses off the city's books entirely. Of the roughly $4 to $4.5 million operating budget, $1 million will be covered through ridership purchases. From there, advertising and sponsorships must total another $1 million. I'm encouraged to report that foundation and private sector stakeholders with whom I have spoken have expressed a clear willingness to participate or consider participating in the project and put their own skin in the game. I am proposing that the final portion of the operating budget should be covered through a special improvement district, in which those whose property value will benefit from the presence of a streetcar pay for that added benefit by voluntarily raising the contribution of their property taxes. I want to be crystal clear on this point. Those who live within a given boundary around the streetcar, let's say within a few blocks of the route, would voluntarily opt to pay higher taxes commensurate with their increase in their property value. What's perhaps more important, and a broader interest to most city residents, is that any citizen living outside the boundary of the streetcar, say Westwood or College Hill or Mount Washington, or really nearly anywhere in the city, would not, I repeat, not shoulder the operating costs of the streetcar. We have seen how effective special improvement districts can be, with downtown Cincinnati, Inc. as a successful example. If this proposal for the operating budget does not come together, then the streetcar is indeed difficult to defend. However, I believe that this blend of resources is doable and sustainable, and again, this would take the annual operating expenses off the city's books altogether, saving huge sums of money into the future. If such a plan can be executed, I support completing what's been started with confidence that this project will not result in an ongoing drain on our city's operating budget. To bring my proposal to life, those who care about this project most and those who will benefit from it most need to create a public-private partnership that makes the streetcar sustainable. Bottom line, my decision and my proposal are both rooted in avoiding the waste of money. I haven't wasted your money in the past, and I'm not willing to waste your money now. I was elected to blend thoughtful, fact-based decision-making with a can-do spirit. I want ours to be a city that creates infrastructure, not lawsuits. I want ours to be a city that attracts investment rather than letting it be directed to other cities. I want ours to be a city that works together to find reasonable solutions rather than bickering toward bitter stalemates. We need only to look to the nation's capital to see how disruptive that is. I look forward to working with my colleagues at City Hall, and I look forward to continuing the conversation with all our citizens, the people for whom I work, and the people to whom I am accountable. The late President John F. Kennedy said eloquently and succinctly, "Let us not seek to fix blame for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future." My fellow Cincinnatians, may that be our shared commitment. I believe in Cincinnati, I believe in the vibrancy that we can achieve here, and I believe we can keep Cincinnati on the move. Thank you very much.